Lucy, thank you so much for having us at your home in East London. First of all, congrats on the win.
Oh, thank you. I think we're like 2 months after the race now, and it's just about sinking in, like, since we've been home, seeing the family, and just they know the journey of what it's been to finally win that race. So yeah, it's been amazing. Busy but amazing.
So now you can officially call yourself a world champion from Kona. 5th time lucky?
Yeah, it definitely feels like 5th time lucky. I mean, it was such a journey to finally get that world title. I mean, 2017 was the first time I lined up as a pro in the Ironman World Championships, and came second that first time. And I think naturally I just thought, well, surely one day I'm going to win it then if I can be second the first time. And I never ever thought that it would be that long. And I guess we had a pandemic thrown in there, and injuries, highs and lows, but yeah, it was amazing to finally do it.
And like, obviously this year as well is probably the year that you've raced the least.
Yes, yeah.
In comparison to the previous years. How does it feel knowing that you finally secured that?
Yeah,
spot?
I mean, I guess so. After winning my first world title, which was at the end of 2021 in the half Ironman, I then had a hip stress fracture last year, came back from that one to take the World Triathlon Long Distance Championship. And then I broke my foot this year, and it was like, why? Like, not again. I can't have another injury. And then to kind of 6 months later, finally get that win in Kona. Like, it was just, I couldn't believe it after the journey it had been of the injuries, highs and lows. But yeah, I'm just so glad I finally did it.
And I guess as well, like, you not only did it, but you did it breaking a course record, leading out of the swim with over 1.5 minutes. It must feel so huge to know that after that, I guess you call it a comeback.
Yes.
But you not only did it, and you also then stormed ahead as well.
Yeah, I think if there was ever a way I would have wanted to win that race, that was how I would have wanted to do it. And I think I did a podcast, I think early this year, and I said, like, that would be my dream way of winning, would just be taking it out from the start, leading the whole day, and then getting the win. I never even thought about breaking the record or anything like that. I was like, I just want to win. I don't care what time it is. But then when I did win and I turned around and looked at the finish time, I was like, I think that might be the fastest anyone's done this. And I guess that was just the cherry on top, really, just to be like, you know what, I've had to wait so long, but actually it was so worth it. If I went back now and someone said, well, you're going to have to wait, like, I don't know, 5-6 years, but you're going to win it in this style, I'd be like, okay, I'll wait, it'll be worth it.
No, definitely. And would you say that there's any standout moment from that day, whether it was from lining up in the swim and looking around, or just being on the bike on your own and knowing that you had, well, whether or not you knew you had a gap, pretty groundbreaking.
Like, the whole day was pretty amazing, and I remember like waiting to line up to get in the water, and obviously it was the first women's only world championship, so you're just looking around and it's all women there, and it felt just like a really special feeling. Like, it almost felt before the day started that it was going to be quite historic. And yeah, the vibes were really good. Like, everyone just seemed really happy, really up for it. And then I guess from the moment the gun went off, I just felt really good, and I was like, okay,
here we go.
Here we go. Today could be the day, but it's such a long event that I guess you never really want to think about it. So the whole day I was like, just don't think about winning or anything like that. Just do your thing. And I think, like, I felt so strong on the bike and was getting told I was growing the lead, and I was like, this is literally the best day ever.
Definitely. And I think, looking back to Lucy in 2013, 2014, you were sort of looking to maybe make a bit of a switch from your previous, because obviously, so you're an elite swimmer.
Yes, yeah.
That was a key thing, that was part of your journey so far. How, if you were to say anything back to Lucy then, to where you are now, do you think she'd be shocked, surprised that you've made it this far, like, that you stuck with it for all this time? Yeah,
I think so. Like, I mean, sport's always been my whole life, and when I made the switch from swimming to triathlon, it was to do something new, but I wanted it to just be fun. Like swimming had got to the point where it was all encompassing, and I guess the fun, I kind of lost the love of it a little bit. So I was like, well, let's try triathlon. It's free sports. It's still got swimming in it, so I won't be completely going away from my roots, but I'll be able to try 2 new sports and just have fun with it. And I think quite quickly realised that my competitive nature, I hadn't lost it. I still wanted to try and be good at triathlon, and yeah, I never thought it would be my career, but I thought I could just try and do well at it. So I guess I never would have imagined getting to the point where I am now in the sport. And I would say sport's always been my life, but triathlon feels like it's transformed my life. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey.
No, definitely. And something that I'm curious about, which I was trying to sort of see if I could find anywhere where you said anything in reference to it, was why long distance? Because it seems, obviously I know in terms of swimming, you were always a more long distance swimmer over sprinting. Was that kind of the reason why you went straight into signing up for that initial Ironman rather than going for a sprint?
Yeah, I think I'd always, even in swimming, I was like, what's the hardest event? What's the biggest challenge that I can do? So even when I was 9 years old, I wanted to do the 200 butterfly, and then was like, oh, I'll do the 400 medley because that's harder. And then, oh, you can do long distance, and then you can do open water and do 10 kilometers or the marathon swim. And I was like, always like getting harder and harder. And I think that was why when we switched to doing triathlon, I was like, oh, there's this thing called an Ironman, and it's like probably the hardest thing you can do in the sport. Let's just go straight in and try and do that. And I think I'd kind of given up sport entirely before I started doing triathlon, so it was something that was so scary that it was going to force me to train for it, dedicate myself to sport again, and
go in as prepared as possible.
Basically, yeah.
Obviously you signed up for your first Ironman. You take about a year to train.
Yeah.
Ironman in the UK is not forgiving.
Yeah.
And not only that, in the 18 to 24 age group,
yes,
you're winning, you're coming second, first, all like you really took it on fully from the start.
Yes.
When did it kind of click that it was something that maybe you could go into full time?
Yeah, I think when we signed up for the first Ironman, it was more like one and done. That's what we thought. Like then you can say you've done an Ironman. And at the time we were setting up a personal training business, so we're like, oh, we'll probably be a bit more respected if we can say, well, we've done this really hard event and we trained for it ourselves, so we must know what we're talking about a little bit. But as soon as I finished that first Ironman, I'd never felt anything like that. Like I'd swam at a high level and got national, international medals, but the feeling I got when I crossed that finish line was like nothing I'd ever felt. I guess that sense of achievement, knowing that I'd kept going even when it got tough, and I'd never raced for that long. I think it took me over 12 hours to do that first Ironman in Bolton, and anyone who's done that one, it's a really tough Ironman for your first one. But yeah, I loved it, and I was then just completely hooked on the sport, and I was like, right, what can I do to go quicker next year? Like what training, more training can I do? And yeah, I just completely loved the whole journey to doing it, and then the whole day itself was amazing. So yeah, I was really hooked on triathlon by that point.
In terms of your team and family dynamic, you reference we quite a lot. Reese is with us today. Obviously, so you met Reese when you were still swimming?
Yes.
I guess in a way, obviously I know Reese, you have your own career in long distance as well from an elite perspective too. Yeah. Kind of coming onto that journey together, do you think that kind of spurred you on even more to want to keep pushing with the long distance and like keep training, and because you had that team dynamic of getting to do it together? It wasn't a case of what we talk about quite a lot is like doing it on your own. It's like actually you have someone to do it with and build up and almost create a sense of community within yourselves. Yeah,
I think I never would have even known where to begin, I guess, if I was doing it on my own. Reese was studying sports science when we first signed up for that initial Ironman, and you did all the research into it, looking at how we'd need to fuel ourselves, what equipment we would need. Like it was really a minefield when we first started, and we did the journey together and made it a lot more fun doing the training together, the long hours, going out cycling on the weekends. Like it's a lot of training to do that distance. It really helps if you've got a partner or friends that you can go and do it with. We were quite lucky at the time that a triathlon club was just setting up, so we joined that club and learned off loads of the members who some had done Olympic distance, some had done full Ironmans, half Ironmans, like there was a vast amount of knowledge in there that we could tap into. So I think it definitely helps having a good team or community that you can really work with and have fun while you do it as well.
So we're talking a lot at the moment around how big and important women in sport has become.
Yes.
More so in the last couple of years, like 2-3 years. And we're kind of seeing this reflected more on the long distance side as well as short course. I guess for you, when you see the level of racing that has stacked up over the years, and then you see Kona, how does it feel knowing that you're one of the athletes kind of pioneering that increase in women's sport, but also translating that into long distance as well for triathlon?
Yeah, it's been amazing. Like, obviously I came into triathlon around 2014, and the growth of women's sport in that time, like, we've seen it, we've been part of it, and I always had a few athletes that inspired me when I started, but now I think like the depth and breadth of female athletes performing at the highest level is just amazing, and there's so many athletes that you can take inspiration from, and I think they often say you have to see it to be it. So actually by giving us this platform as athletes, and the fact that we had the women's only world championships this year, and I think it had more views than the men's race. So
I did see that.
That in itself just shows like there's an appetite for women's sport, and if people watch it then they might want to do it as well. So yeah, it's been an amazing growth over the last few years.
And I guess when you're getting tagged in stories of little girls with their battle braids in, it must sort of put a smile on your face knowing that there is literally a next generation of athletes who are coming up not only wanting to, you know, become the next world champion in long distance shorts, whatever it is, they're also looking to become the next Lucy Charles-Barclay.
Yeah, I think like I obviously always put the braids in my hair, and then we turned it into the battle braid movement, and then just seeing young women and girls doing the same, whether they're going to do an exam at school or they're doing their first ever triathlon, like they're applying it to any aspect of their life, and getting tagged in stories of other girls braiding their hair. I think it makes it all worth it. It's like when I don't want to go out the door for a run because I'm tired, I'm like, we'll do it for that young girl that might take up the sport and is being inspired to get into triathlon. So yeah, it's been amazing to see that as well, and I really love it when people do share that. It's nice just to give back in a small way. So even a few weeks ago I went into a local school and spoke to the kids there, and just being able just to see that they're, even in a small way, maybe being inspired to get into the sport or just be active is just really, really great.
And I guess as well, like, not wanting to ignore the two little guys that we've got with us today, Lola and Pickle. How important is it, do you think, to have maybe a distraction or something outside of the day-to-day that kind of keeps you grounded, but then also it's just another dynamic to your life?
Yeah, it's so nice. Like when I was training for Kona, it was like the part of the day I look forward to the most. Like I'd be up at 5-6 in the morning, go and do my 6-kilometre swim, and know I'd come home, have breakfast, and I've got an hour where I can just walk in here with the dogs and take my mind off of triathlon entirely. So they're a great little distraction when triathlon becomes a bit too much in my life. Yeah, they're quite demanding, but they're definitely worth it.
I'd say Lola's been on the journey with you for quite a long time now.
Has.
When did you get Lola?
So we actually got Lola, I think, 2018? Or was it 2019? Yeah, it was after I came second in Kona that year. We'd had a bit of a bet, me and Reese, that if I won I could have 2 dogs, if I came second I could get 1, and if I came third I couldn't get any dogs. So I actually went into 3rd place in that race, and with about 2 miles to go went back into second, and a lot of people were like, oh, did you do it so you could get the dog?
Get the dog.
Yeah, obviously it was all about the dog.
And how important is it for you to kind of inspire that next generation? Because I feel like long distance, it's taken its time to get younger people into it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, even since I did triathlon, you've seen more younger athletes come across to the Ironman distance, even at the elite level. Like they used to say, people didn't really start doing it till they were in their 30s, and now you've got 20-year-olds winning the world title. So I think it's really great. And I guess going back to swimming, like when I stopped swimming, I could have just given up sport altogether, but then I went into triathlon, tried a new sport and found new success. So I think it's a lesson that can be learned in a lot of individual sports, that actually if you're a runner, for example, maybe you're not enjoying it anymore, or you've stagnated and you're not seeing progress, well, maybe come across to triathlon and just see how you get on, and you might just enjoy it, or you could actually be really good at it. So doesn't mean you have to step up to full Ironman. You could go and do a sprint distance, but just give it a go and see what happens.